Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Ari, and today we're going to have some more stories about our toxic life. But before we start, it would be so much appreciated if you would subscribe to my channel, like the video, if you enjoy it, and maybe leave a comment down below. These simple clicks would mean a lot to the future of this channel and really reward the effort that I put in every day. And now without further ado, let's go. Today's first story. In this story, Opie met his ex-fiancée at a music festival, fell in love quickly, and they dated for 1.5 years. When he proposed and wanted to bring her around his best friend, she resisted, revealing he used to have feelings for her. Despite her refusal, he convinced his best friend to agree to a double date. Later, he discovered through a Facebook message that his best friend and fiancée had been seeing each other intimately during their entire relationship. Feeling betrayed, he left the restaurant, and the fiancée later apologized, claiming she chose him. He cut ties with both of them and struggled with not knowing about their betrayal, feeling like he lost the most in the situation. Now let's get into the story. I met my ex-fiancée when I was 28 and she was 24. We were at the same music festival with our own group of friends. She was with another girl and a guy, and I was with two male friends. One was my best friend, who saw her from across the way and swore he knew her. We laughed at him and made him walk over there with us, but the joke was on me. As soon as I caught a glimpse of her, I fell in love. I could have sworn she felt the same way, and within 10 minutes of meeting, she gave me her number. We all spent the night together at the music festival, and I arranged to keep seeing her as we dated. She mentioned that my best friend was talking to her too. I told her he was actually the reason we walked over to her in the first place, but that I was a far better dating choice. I made myself seem better and cooler than my friend, and at the very least, it amused her. We continued to date for 8 months, and during that time my best friend told me he started seeing someone. I was really happy for him, but mostly because I wanted my new girlfriend to myself. After a year and a half of dating, I was sure I wanted to marry this woman. She was everything I'd hoped for in a lifetime partner. She played the piano, and I played guitar. We wrote music together and could talk for hours about the things we had in common or disagreed on. At one point, I couldn't take it anymore and I proposed. I knew we'd be planning the wedding for at least a year, which would give us more time to grow closer. This notion made me want to bring her around my friends. I figured I kept my fiancé and best friend apart long enough, and that it would be great to go on a double date. When I asked her how she felt about it, she got really weird. She told me she didn't want to see him because he used to have feelings for her. She also added that she didn't want us to compare relationships while on the double date. That made sense to me, but I did mention it had been over a year now, and that he told me he was happy with his new girlfriend. She still disagreed with the idea. I was pretty set on getting my best friend to hang out with us. It felt a terrible idea to get married to her while she refused to be around my best friend. What if I wanted him to be my best man? I decided to ask him how he felt about going on a double date. He asked what my fiancée said when I asked her, and I lied to say that she agreed to it. After that, he hesitantly agreed to meet at a restaurant since her phone was broken. My girl's Facebook Messenger was logged into my phone. I got a notification that he messaged her asking if they were going to talk to me about something. This seemed highly suspect, replied as much like her as I could manage, telling him it would be the best thing for everyone. I held my breath until he replied in agreement. We got a table for two at the restaurant since I tried to keep my fiancée from catching on. As soon as my best friend entered the restaurant, her skin turned pale and she looked at me. She started stammering as he got closer, wondering what was going on. I played dumb until he got to the table and I asked, "Where's your date?" He looked at my flance like she was supposed to say something, and she looked at him like she was indescribably mad and confused. Finally, he said I must know something, otherwise he wouldn't be there. Her head dropped into her hands as my best friend explained that they'd been seeing each other and having intimate the whole time we were dating. My jaw dropped. I had not expected this level of betrayal from either of them. I screamed something, although I don't remember what, and left the restaurant. On the way out, she tried to follow me. I could hear her yelling that she chose me, but I left her there. Over the next week, her friends tried contacting me on her behalf. They said things like she was sorry she was torn between the two of us, but decided I was the one for her and other bullshit. Eventually, all contact with her friends stopped. I heard that she moved into her parents' basement because she was too broken-hearted to work and pay her own rent. My friend sent me a handwritten letter to apologize, but he knew as well as I did that we weren't going to be friends ever again. I know I'll meet someone better than her, but it bothers me that I didn't know what was going on. I feel like the one who lost the most. Today's second story. In this story, Obi discovered his wife's affair with his twin brother during a family gathering. Despite pleading ignorance initially, the twin confessed to the affair. The betrayed husband confronted them, leading to a public revelation at the family event. He chose divorce, cut ties with his brother, and moved in with his uncle. The situation worsened when the wife revealed her pregnancy, uncertain of the child's paternity. Despite the upheaval, the husband decided to co-parent, while his twin brother distanced himself from the family. He found solace in a new girlfriend and rock climbing, emphasizing the betrayal's profound impact. Now let's get into the story. I, 25, had a twin brother. He looked exactly the same as me, but he hit the gym a little bit more. My wife, 25, and I got married at the age of 20 because when we met, we knew we were meant to be together. I guess you could say it was as true as we believe love could be. That made us both naive young fools. Since then, my brother developed a passion for working out. I developed my passion for computer technology. My wife and I had lots of hobbies we did together, including painting, miniature figurines, building trains, and miniature landscapes and tennis. None of that mattered to her. We went to a family gathering one Thanksgiving. I didn't know it at the time, but she'd already started talking to my brother behind my back. Don't ask me why my brother didn't tell me what was going on. It still hurts me to this day. After we all ate dinner, we mingled around the house while football was on, and I got caught up in a conversation with my uncle about the different players. It was probably 40 minutes before I realized my wife wasn't around. As I looked around, I started noticing my brother's absence because I thought about finding him to ask if he'd seen my wife. I even looked around outside before I decided to look in the basement, of all places. As soon as I opened the door, I could hear someone immediately stop making a sound. I walked down the stairs and heard shuffling before I peeked my head below the ceiling. My wife and twin brother were standing side by side, awkwardly fixing their clothes while they avoided eye contact with me and tried to explain what they were doing. The guest bed right beside them looked like it was freshly made. Before they got down there, I asked them point blank if they were just having intimate. My wife's face turned red, and she very guiltily said no. My twin brother also said no, but then he told me they were. My wife slapped him on the shoulder, saying he was going to cost us our marriage if he said that. He said it was the truth, and I deserved to know. My wife started crying and saying no over and over, not wanting to believe this was happening. She finally asked me if it was really that big of a deal because he's my twin. So it just proves she loves the same person. My jaw dropped. I couldn't believe she thought this could be justified by the fact that my brother and I were twins. I started yelling at this point and said if anything, it just made her more of a stupid bimbo for deciding to cheat on me. My brother apologized to me and said he was going to attempt to rekindle our relationship sometime in the future. After this blew over, I couldn't believe what was happening. I let him leave without saying a word, just staring at my wife. I asked her again why she slept with him if he was my twin. She said that since he worked out, he looked really great, and when he came onto her, he was the one that said it would be like she was sleeping with her husband. My jaw dropped again, and I started pacing in the basement. Our whole family was upstairs, and they needed to know what just happened. I started marching upstairs, and my wife screamed for me to stop and just keep it between us. I laughed loudly and sarcastically when I got upstairs. It didn't take much to get everyone's attention. They were all staring at me as I explained that I would appreciate all of their support while I go through the next stage in my life, which was going to include divorce and no contact with my twin brother because I just caught the two of them in the basement. Everyone let out their own reactions to the news, but everyone reached out to give me hugs and apologize. People started asking where my brother went, and someone said he left already. That was fine. Let him isolate himself from the family to avoid the awkwardness of the situation. Now my wife was still in the basement, far too embarrassed to come out on her own. Some of the women in the family went down to talk to her, hopefully reprimanding her more than anything. She came out with a reddened face and dried tears on her cheeks. She walked straight to her car. I moved in with my uncle, and my ex stayed in the apartment with both our names on the lease for 1 week before she found out she was pregnant. There was no way to know for sure whose baby it was since she was sleeping with me and my brother within the same week. She admitted to me that they had closed 3 times. The 3rd time was when it caught them. She said although they didn't use protection, she doubted the baby could be his. I've decided to be involved with the child, to accept him as mine and co-parent with my ex. She isn't going to file for child support due to the circumstances, and at least the child won't ever have to hear arguing about who their real dad is. My brother just continued his life as normal, minus family, and is refusing to be involved in his potential child's life. It's devastating that I lost a twin brother from all of this. We essentially don't know each other anymore. If I'm to look at the bright side of things, I'm glad that I started working out and found my new hobby of rock climbing. That's where I met my new girlfriend, who has yet to break my trust. We enjoy spending time together, that's for sure. And that's all I could ask for. Please, people understand that sleeping with your spouse's sibling is not acceptable. And if anything, it hurts even more because it was someone they trusted deeply.